Welcome to Prophets of Babel with your host, Janine. Today we are starting the fifth Sefer of Moses, the book of HaTorah. The book of HaTorah, also known as the book of instructions or fifth Sefer of Moses, the words which Moses spoke unto all Israel in the wilderness. Chapter 1, the Decalogue of the 10 tribes. And it came to pass that Moses called all the congregation of Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and ordinances which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and observe to do them. Yahweh our Elohim made a covenant with us at the mount of Ha Elohim. Yea, Yahweh spoke with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire, saying, 1. Thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy might, and with all thy strength. Thou shalt adore him and serve him and obey him. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before thee. Thou shalt not make thee any graven image or anything likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth below, or that is in the abyss beneath the earth, to bow thyself unto it, or to worship it. Thou shalt not bow thyself down unto them, nor serve them, nor adore anything that thine eye beholdeth, or thy imagination conceiveth of. But thou shalt bow down thyself unto Yahweh thy Elohim only. For Yahweh thy Elohim is a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children from generation to generation, even upon all that hate him, and showing a multitude of mercies unto them that mitzvah. In one record, it wrote that Jesus as a child was not even allowed to draw pictures because it would be breaking this law. You can decide how strict that needs to be for you. If you worship it, anything, I think you've crossed the line. If you're enjoying and loving the creations of God, then I think that's different. Number 2, thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh thy Elohim in vain. Thou shalt not usurp dominion as a ruler, for the name of Yahweh thy Elohim is great and glorious above all other names. Yahweh is above all, and is the only true Elohim, the only just and upright king over all. He alone hath the right to rule, and in the name only they to whom Yahweh granteth it. And whosoever is not chosen of Yahweh, the same is a usurper and unholy. Yahweh will not acquit any that taketh the name in vain, serving not Yahweh. In another record, I think it was the sealed portion by Marincia from Brazil, he talks about the name of God and that all power is in the name of God. And I don't know, there could be a lot to that because words are power. And so my mind tends to go to that when they're talking about the name of Yahweh. 3, keep the Sabbath of the 7th day holy, to sanctify it. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. For in 6 ages did Ha Elohim make the heavens and the earth, the sea and the abyss, and all which in them are. They rested on the 7th day. Therefore did Yahweh bless the 7th day to sanctify it. Thou shalt keep it holy unto Yahweh, that thou forget not the Torah, nor be found keeping the company of the vile, nor be despised by the righteous. These last few lines kind of threw me, but maybe blessings of keeping the Sabbath day holy is that you won't get caught up in among the vile. 4, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Thou shalt not revile them, nor speak evil of them, nor curse them. Thou shalt do no injustice unto them. Thou shalt maintain their rights against their enemies. Thou shalt not exact rigorously of them, nor turn aside from relieving them. Thou shalt deliver them from the snare and the pit, and shalt return their ox when he strayeth. Thou shalt comfort them when they mourn, and nurture them when they are sick. Thou shalt not abate the price of what thou buyest of them for their necessity, nor shalt thou exact of them because they leaneth not upon thee. For in so doing, thousands shall rise up and call thee blessed, and thy Elohim shall strengthen thee in all the work of thy hand. That's a great blessing. It's pretty much take care of your neighbor, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. And then it sounds like you're going to get a lot of blessings from that. 5, honor thy father and thy mother. Give heed to their commandments, obey their laws, and depart not from their precepts. Reverence their age, and seek unto their house all the days of thy life. Exalt not thyself against them, nor withhold to build up their house above thine own. Honor and obey the king and the judges and the rulers and all that are set in authority, for they are as fathers among the people, that they may be a fear unto evildoers. Honor the priest also, who stands before Yahweh, that he may instruct thee, and thy days shall be long upon the earth, which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee. I like this because this exalt not thyself against them, nor withhold to build up their house above thine own, means you keep your parents in respect above yourself and don't become bigger than them. 6, thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt slay no man or woman in malice, neither thy child, nor thy wife, nor thy bondsmen, nor thy bondwoman, nor thy servant, nor the child of thy servant. Neither shalt thou slay thine enemy, except thou admonish them and entreat them, and they hear thee not. And how Elohim give them into thy hand, and thou shalt only slay them in lawful war. And if anyone should trespass against thee and break through and do violence, thou shalt not slay them in revenge. But if thou overtake them in their trespass, thou mayest resist unto blood. That sounds like self-defense. And yea, except thou slay them in the trespass, thou shalt deliver them to the judge, and the judge shall judge them, and the hand of the officer shall be on them. So this verse, again, this reads very similar to the book of the law that I read as well. And I think of, I don't know if you've ever read the Book of Mormon, but one of the first stories in it is about Nephi trying to get these records from his uncle. So this says, neither shalt thou slay them except thou admonish them. So they went and asked their uncle for the records, and he said no. Entreat them, and they hear thee not. They sent, they tried 3 times, but the third time they brought like all their goods to try to buy them, and said the Lord wanted them to have them, and he wouldn't listen. His uncle would not listen. And then here, Elohim give them into thy hand. Well, that's pretty much what happened. The Lord gave his uncle into his hand and said it's better for one person to die than an entire nation. And that story is, similar stories are told in other records, like Nephi's story. And anyways, I see it here in 6. So 7, thou shalt not commit adultery or apostasy. Thou shalt be wise, lie with the wife of thy neighbor, and if she seduce thee, thou shalt resist her, that thou pollute not thyself, and make not the place of thy house unclean, and destroy not the house of thy neighbor, and that thou cause no violence in the land. Thou shalt not lie with the wife of the stranger, neither shalt thou lie with the wife of thine enemy, lest thy children be scattered abroad, and know thee not, nor the fear of thee be upon them, and they be strangers in the covenant of Yahweh, and the whole land be corrupted, and thine offspring be destroyed with the wicked. I'm going to look up apostasy. Apostasy says Hebrew masculine noun, usually referring to a man having sex or a sexual relationship with a married woman. Also used to describe the worship of idols, as God views our relationship covenant with him as a marriage covenant. So apostasy would be leaving his side, leaving your marriage covenant with him and going to worship something else. 8, thou shalt not steal or deceive. Thou shalt not trespass upon anything that is belonging to thy neighbor, to take it from them, nor to destroy it. Neither shalt thou trespass upon the neighbor that dwelleth within thy gates, to destroy their substance, nor to take it from them. For to thee shall they seek for justice, and a shield round about all that they have. And the fear of Yahweh thy Elohim is upon them also, and to thy righteousness these will seek. Neither shalt thou overreach them by cunning, nor by stratagem, to take for thyself the substance of thy neighbor, nor the stranger within thy gates. Remember that ye were strangers and were oppressed, and oppress not the stranger, lest their cry ascend to Yahweh against you. 9, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not speak falsely before a king, nor before a judge, nor in the assembly of rulers, nor in the presence of a ruler, nor unto the priest, nor among the multitude, nor in the ear of thy friend, nor to thy wife, nor thy child, nor thy servant. Thou shalt not withhold the truth from a king, nor a judge, nor anyone that is set in authority, for thus shall righteousness be established in all thy borders. 10, thou shalt not covet the inheritance of thy neighbors. Thou shalt not covet the house of thy neighbors, nor thy bondman, nor their bondwoman, nor their maidservant, nor their manservant, nor their horse, nor their carriage, nor the instruments of their labor, nor the produce of their land, nor the things that they have made, nor the treasures they have in their storehouse, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Thy desire shall not be upon them to take them by stealth, nor by fraud, nor by cunning, nor by violence. Neither shalt thou covet that which belongeth to the stranger that dwelleth within thy gates. Yea, thou shalt improve thine own, and thy desire shall be unto it, lest thou be corrupt, and the hand of thy neighbors be against thee, and the cry of the poor ascend to Yahweh against thee. Ye shall observe all my ordinances and all my customs and do them. I am Yahweh. And these are the words Yahweh spoke unto all your assembly in the mount of Ha Elohim, out of the midst of the fire, out of the darkness of the cloud, and out of the thickness of the darkness with a great voice. And Yahweh wrote all these and more in 2 tablets of stone and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass that when ye heard the voice out of the midst of darkness, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And you said, Behold, Yahweh, our Elohim, hath showed us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. Behold, we have seen this day that Yahweh doth talk with man, and we live. Now, therefore, why should we die? This great fire will not consume us if we hear the voice of Yahweh our Elohim any more. For whom but we is there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? But thou, Moses, go near and hear all that Yahweh our Elohim shall speak, and speak thou unto us all that Yahweh our Elohim shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when ye spoke unto me. And Yahweh said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all of my mitzvah always. that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go now, say to them, get into your tents again. But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the mitzvah and the ordinances and the customs which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. You shall observe to do, therefore, all that Yahweh your Elohim hath commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand nor to the left. You shall walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Elohim hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which you shall possess. That pretty much says to me, we've heard God speak out of the fire. We've lived. That's amazing. I don't think that's happened to anybody else, but it makes us uncomfortable. So, okay, you talk to God and then just tell us what he said and we'll believe you. That's what I got out of it. Chapter 2, Yahweh is unity. Now these are the mitzvah and the ordinances and the customs which Yahweh your Elohim commanded me to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it. That thou mightest fear Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep all his customs and his mitzvah which I command thee, thou and thy sons and daughters, and thy sons' sons and thy daughters' daughters, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, the words of Yahweh, and observe to do them, that it may be well with thee, and that you may have increase mightily, as Yahweh the Elohim of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim, Yahweh is unity. Thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thine heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. Remember these, the words of Yahweh thy Elohim, that thou shalt know wisdom, and in knowledge grow in thy understanding. And these words which I instruct thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach the mitzvah and the customs diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and thou shalt be as bands between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. And it shall be that when Yahweh thy Elohim shall have brought thee into the land which he swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells digged which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not. Yea, when thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware, lest thou forget Yahweh, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt stand in awe of Yahweh thy Elohim, and reverence and serve him, and make thine oaths only by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods, or chase after the Elohim of the people which are round about you, lest the anger of Yahweh thy Elohim be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt Yahweh your Elohim, as ye tempted him in the house of Peor. But ye shall diligently keep the mitzvah of Yahweh your Elohim, and his testimonies, and his ordinances which he hath given thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which Yahweh swore unto thy fathers, to cast out all thine enemies from before thee, even as Yahweh has spoken. For behold, Yahweh hath said, holy ye shall be, for I, Yahweh Elohim, am holy. Every man and every woman shall fear and respect their mother, the earth, and their father in the heavens, for these are the Creator, and ye, their creation, shall keep my Sabbath. I am Yahweh, thy Elohim. I love that they speak of mother the earth and father in the heavens. Respect them both. Be not adulterers, turning unto idols, neither make unto yourself molten gods, for I am Yahweh, thy Elohim. And when ye shall make thy peace offerings in sacrifice unto Yahweh, you shall offer it at your own will, that I might find them acceptable to me. I'm Yahweh, thy Elohim. And when thy son or thy daughter asketh thee in time to come, saying, what meaneth the testimonies and the ordinances and the customs which Yahweh our Elohim hath laid charge upon you? Then thou shalt say unto thy sons and thy daughters, we were the slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, and Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And Yahweh showed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, even Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And Yahweh brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in to give us the land which he swore unto our fathers. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these things, all these statutes, to stand in awe of our Elohim for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness, for we observe to do all these mitzvot before Yahweh our Elohim, as he hath taught us. Chapter 3, a holy people. When Yahweh thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, even the Hittites and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto their sons, nor thy daughters shalt thou take unto thy sons. For they will turn away thy sons from following thy Elohim, that they may serve other Elohim. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Behold, thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and tear down their sacred pillars and burn their wooden idols and smash their images carved into stone. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh, thy Elohim. Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a holy people unto himself, prized above all people upon the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you before you are more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. But Yahweh loves you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, and for the sake of that oath hath Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of slavery from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh thy Elohim, he is El Elyon, above all of Ha Elohim, the faithful God, which keepeth covenants and hath mercy for they that love him and keep his mitzvah to 1,000 generations. And Yahweh repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to they that hateth him. He will repay them to their face. Thou shalt therefore keep the mitzvah and the ordinances and the customs which I do instruct thee this day to do them. Therefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these customs and keep them and do them, that Yahweh thy Elohim shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto thy fathers. And Yahweh will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. Yahweh will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of thy land, thy corn and thy wine and thine oil, and the increase of thy herds and the flocks of thy sheep in the land which he swore unto thy fathers to give thee. And thou shalt be blessed above all people, There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle. And Yahweh shall take away from thee the plagues. Yea, none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, will fall upon thee, but these shall be set aside to curse them that hate thee. And thou shalt consume all the people which Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver thee. Thine eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their Elohim, for that will be a snare unto thee. And if thou shalt say in thy heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what Yahweh thy Elohim did unto Pharaoh and unto all of Egypt, the great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and his mighty right arm and his outstretched arm, whereby Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee out. So shall Yahweh thy Elohim do unto all the people of whom thou might surely fear. Moreover, Yahweh thy Elohim will send the hornet among them until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Therefore, thou shalt not be afraid of them, for Yahweh thy Elohim is amongst you, and is the highest and the most revered amongst Ha-Elohim. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And Yahweh shall deliver their kings into thy hands, and thou shalt destroy their names from under the heavens. And there shall be no one able to stand before thee. Thou conquer them all. The graven images of their Elohim shall you burn with fire. Thou shalt not covet the silver or gold that is in them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is a loathsome unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Neither shalt thou bring any such detestable things into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. He has a good point, and he brings each command into a deeper level of understanding what it really means to detest wickedness and evil and not even have it around you. Chapter 4, remember and perish not. All the mitzvah which I command thee this day shall be observed to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy Elohim led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, and to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldst keep his mitzvah or not. And Yahweh hath humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know. And this that thou mightest know that mankind doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh doth thou live. And thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. That's interesting. Their clothes didn't wear out, and their shoes didn't wear out for 40 years. I can honestly say I never thought about it. How do you clothe and find shoes for thousands of people? Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so Yahweh thy Elohim chasteneth thee. Therefore thou shalt keep the mitzvah of Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in his ways and to love him. For Yahweh thy Elohim bringeth thee into a good and spacious land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines, with fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness, thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig brass. And when thou hast eaten and art full, thou shalt bless Yahweh thy Elohim for the good land which thou hast been given. Beware, forget not Yahweh thy Elohim, falling asleep to his mitzvah and his practice and his ordinances, which I lay charge upon thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses, and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, that thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget Yahweh thy Elohim, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, that he might prove thee, to do thee good at thy latter end. And thou might say in thine heart, my power and the might of my hand hath gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember Yahweh thy Elohim, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, what he may establish his covenant, which he swore unto thy fathers, as it is this day. And it came to pass that if thou do at all forget Yahweh thy Elohim, and walk after other Elohim, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day, you shall surely perish. As the nations which Yahweh conquereth before your face, so shall ye perish, because ye would not be obedient unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Therefore remember and perish not. I'm kind of beginning to see why they thought that if people had a hard time at all, that they were being punished or chastened, because they were chastened for 40 years. Chapter 5. Hear, O Israel. Hear, O Israel, thou art to pass over Jordan, to go to possess nations greater and mightier than thyself, great cities and fenced up to heaven, a people great and tall, the children of giants, whom thou knowest, and of whom thou hast heard say, who can stand before the children of giants? Understand, therefore, this day that Yahweh thy Elohim shall go over before thee, as a consuming fire shall destroy them, and shall bring them down before thy face. And by this shalt thou drive them out, and conquer them quickly, even as Yahweh hath said. Speak not in thine heart, after Yahweh thy Elohim hath cast thee out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness Yahweh hath brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh doth drive them out from before thee. So he's saying, don't get caught up thinking you're so righteous. Remember, they're getting kicked out because the other nations are getting kicked out because they're wicked. So just because they're wicked doesn't make you wholly righteous. Not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart dost thou go to possess their land. But for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh thy Elohim doth drive them out from before thee, and that he may perform the word which Yahweh swore unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand therefore that Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee not this land to possess it for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. Remember and forget not how thou provokest Yahweh thy Elohim to wrath in the wilderness. Yea, from the day that thou didst depart out of the land of Egypt until you came unto this place, you have been rebellious against Yahweh. You do provoke Yahweh to wrath, so that at times Yahweh was angry enough to have utterly wiped thee out. When I was gone up into the mount to receive the tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant, which Yahweh did make with you, There we abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. Neither did we eat, drink bread, nor drink water. And Yahweh delivered unto me 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of Yahweh, and on them was written according to all the words which Yahweh spoke in the mount, out of the midst of the fire in the days of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave us the 2 tablets of stone, even the tables of the covenant. And it came to pass that Yahweh said unto us, Arise, get thee down quickly from hence, for thy people which thou hast brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image. Furthermore, Yahweh spoke unto us, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under the heavens. And I will make of you a nation mightier and greater than they. And it came to pass that I turned and came down from the mount, and the mount burned with fire, and the 2 tables of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I looked and beheld, ye had sinned against Yahweh your Elohim, and had made you a molten calf. You had turned aside quickly out of the way which Yahweh had commanded. And I took the 2 tablets and cast them out of my 2 hands, broke them before your eyes, and I fell down before Yahweh as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I did neither eat bread nor drink water because of all your sins, which you sinned in doing wickedness in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure wherewith Yahweh was wroth against you to destroy you. But Yahweh hearkened unto me at that time also. And Yahweh was very angry with Aaron to have destroyed him. And I prayed for Aaron also the same time. And it came to pass that I took your sin, the calf which you had made, and burnt it with fire, and stamped it, and ground it to very small, even until it was as small as dust. And I cast the dust thereof into the brook that descended out of the mount. Likewise, it came to pass that when Yahweh sent you, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you, then ye rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh, your Elohim, and you believed him not, nor hearkened to his voice. Yea, you have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you. Thus I fell down before Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yahweh had said he would destroy you. I prayed therefore unto Yahweh and said, O Lord, Yahweh, destroy not thy people and thine inheritance, which thou hast redeemed through the greatness which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember thy servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Look not upon the stubbornness of this people, nor to their wickedness, nor to their sin, lest the land whence thou broughtest us out say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he hath brought them out to slay them in the wilderness. Yet they are thy people and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest out by thy power and by thy right hand and thy outstretched arm. Chapter 6. Reverence Yahweh thy Elohim. And it came to pass that Yahweh said unto me, Hew thee 2 other tables of stone, like unto the first, and come up unto me upon the mount, and make thee an ark of wood. And I will write on the tables the words that were on the first tables, which thou breakest, save the words of the everlasting covenant of the holy priesthood, and thou shalt put them in the ark. And I made an ark of wood, and hewed 2 tables of stone, like unto the first, and went up into the mount of Ha Elohim, having the 2 tables in mine hand. And Yahweh wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the covenant which Yahweh spoke unto you in the mount, out of the midst of the fire, in the day of the assembly. And he gave 10 instructions also, and Yahweh gave these unto us, that thou might know, and that thou wouldst remember. And we turned ourselves and came down from the mount, and I put the tables in the ark which had been made, and there they be, even as Yahweh commanded me. And it came to pass that Israel took their journey from there to the mount where Aaron died, and there he was buried, and Eleazar his son ministered in the office of the priest in his stead. And Yahweh separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, to stand before Yahweh to minister unto him and to bless in his name. And I say, and I stayed in the mount according to the first time, 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh hearkened unto me at that time also, and Yahweh would not destroy thee. And Yahweh said unto me, Arise, take thy journey before the people, that they may go in and possess the land which I swore unto their fathers to give them. And now, O Israel, what doth Yahweh thy Elohim require of thee? But to reverence Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the mitzvah of Yahweh and his ordinances which I instruct thee this day for thy good. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens belongeth to Yahweh thy Elohim, the earth also with all that therein is. Only Yahweh had a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of thine heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahweh your Elohim is Elohim over Ha Elohim, and Lord of lords, El Elyon, mighty and awesome, which regardeth not any persons, nor taketh any bribes. Yahweh doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and the widow, and loveth the stranger in giving them food and raiment. For Yahweh hath said, if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, thou shalt not vex them, but the stranger that dwelleth with thee shall be unto thee as one born among you. And thou shalt love them as thyself, for thou wast a stranger in the land of Egypt, and I am Yahweh thy Elohim. Wherefore love the stranger and the foreigner amongst you, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thou shalt fear Yahweh thy Elohim. Him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and make all thy oaths by his name. He is thy praise. He is thy Elohim. That hath done for thee these great and terrible things which thine eyes have seen. Thy fathers went down into Egypt with but 70 people, and now Yahweh thy Elohim hath made thee as the stars of heaven for multitude. Therefore thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim, and keep his obligations and his statutes and his ordinances and his mitzvah always. Chapter 7, Observe and Do. And now know you this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known and which have not seen the chastisement of Yahweh, your Elohim, his greatness, his mighty arm and his outstretched arm, and his miracles and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt unto Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and unto all his land. And what he did unto the army of Egypt, and unto their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how Yahweh did destroy them, and what he did unto you in the wilderness until you came into this place, and what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, we will not come up. And how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their households, and their tents, and all their substance that was in their possession in the midst of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of Yahweh, which he did. Therefore you shall keep all the mitzvah, which I give you this day, that you may be strong, and go in and possess the land, whither you go to possess it, and that ye may prolong your days in the land. which Yahweh swore unto your fathers to give unto them and to their seed, a land that floweth with milk and honey. For the land which thou goest in to possess, it is not as the land of Egypt from whence thou came out, where thou sowed thy seed and watered it with thy foot as a garden of herbs. But the land whither you go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of the heavens. Yea, it is a land which Yahweh thy Elohim careth for. The eyes of Yahweh thy Elohim are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, it makes it sound like it's almost like a Garden of Eden. You don't even have to water the plants. And it's a pep talk to the people who are now going to go into the land, a reminder of what happened to their parents and grandparents, and that it's like they've paid the price. They saw all the miracles. Now you get to reap the rewards. And these are the rewards. 13. And it came to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto my mitzvah, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that Yahweh will give you the rain of your land in his due season, and the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thine wine and thine oil. And Yahweh will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, therefore, that your heart be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other Elohim and worship them. And then the wrath of Yahweh shall be kindled against you, and he shall shut up the heavens, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit. And lest you perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh giveth you. Therefore ye shall lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as a vision between your eyes. And you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thy house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which Yahweh swore unto your fathers to give them, as the days of the heavens upon the earth. And if you shall diligently keep all these mitzvah, which I do teach unto you, to do them, to love Yahweh our Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will Yahweh drive out all these nations from before you, and you shall possess greater nations and a people mightier than yourselves. Yea, the very place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness, from the river, even unto the utmost sea shall your coast be, and no one shall be able to stand before you. For Yahweh your Elohim shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that thou shalt tread upon, even as he hath said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing that if you obey the mitzvah of Yahweh your Elohim, which I do teach you this day, and a curse if you will not obey the mitzvah of Yahweh your Elohim, but turn aside out of the ways which I teach you this day, to go after other Elohim which you have not known. And it shall come to pass that when Yahweh thy Elohim hath brought thee in unto the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put a blessing upon the mountain to the north of that land, and the curse upon the tallest mountain to the north, residing next to that blessed mount. And the mountain to the north, it is blessed, and it shall be as the mountain of Ha Elohim unto you, for it is the place where thy father Abraham went to offer up his son, our father Isaac, unto Yahweh, and there the angel of Yahweh did meet him. And thou shalt build an altar on that cursed mountain, that which is the tallest mountain to the north, made from cut stones, to make there the peace offering upon that altar. And you shall eat there And you shall write the words of this law on the stone. And this shall be as a tabernacle unto Yahweh, that Ha Elohim will see and remember that the curse of this mountain come not upon you. For you shall pass over Jordan to go in to possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim giveth you, and ye shall possess it and dwell therein. And you shall observe to do all the statutes and ordinances which I set before you this day, even so. Amen. All right, that is the end of this portion. Thank you so much for joining me today on Prophets of Babel. I hope you have a wonderful evening.